shots. So,
I love you. All right, so short and sweet, what we have going on is we were trying to use the oven the other day, and we had, well, basically it wasn't heating up. So because I replaced the igniter 2 or 3 years ago, I kind of have an idea, or had an idea of what to look for, and that's what we're going to be replacing today. All right, so first we're going to go ahead and turn on the oven, and what should be happening is the igniter should be glowing. Once it's glowing, it opens up the valve to let the gas come through, and it's not glowing, obviously. So we're going to go ahead and unplug the stove. We're going to remove these 4 screws to take the back cover off, and that'll give us access to the igniter plug, or rather the plug connected to the igniter, this one here. All right, there it is, and just pull that off. I was looking to see if there was any tab I had to press in, but there isn't. Just pulled it off. I'm going to use a voltmeter to test these 2 points. I'm looking for continuity, ohms, resistance, all the same thing. I'm just checking to see that there is actual continuity all the way through the igniter. I've actually had this is an igniter that I replaced about 2 or 3 years ago, so it cost me about $35 a few years ago, and it's lasted me about 2 or 3 years. As you can see, I'm not getting any continuity through the igniter. All right, this happens to be the new igniter that I bought. This one was about $17 on Amazon, and as you can see, it does not have the plug on the end. The one I bought 2 or 3 years ago actually did have the plug. That one cost about twice as much. It was about $35. So I saved about 25, or I saved about 20 bucks going with the one that doesn't have the plug on it. That just means that I'm gonna have to use the plug off of the old one. All right, so what I did 2 years ago is I actually, rather than putting the original small little bolt head screws on there, I actually replaced those with 2 self-tapping screws. So that's why in this video I'm able to use a Phillips head to pull out the igniter. It just has 2 screws on it now. Later on in the video, I'll show you what the original screws actually look like. So here we have the old igniter, and here we have the new igniter. Right here I have the 2 screws, the 2 self-tapping screws that I put into about 2 or 3 years ago. You can see they're just Phillips head screws, so it makes it a lot easier for me to take the igniter in, or take it off, put in the new one, rather than having to try and remember what size bolt head it has. So there's installation. It's just the 2 screws. I'm going to feed these wires back through. What I'm not showing in the video right now is I actually went back and I cut the heat, the heat shield off of the old igniter. It's just those 2 cloth pieces that go around the wires. I cut them off the old one and put it on these just for added protection. So I'll try to add a picture of that at the end of this video. All right, so now that we have the wires through, we're going to go ahead and connect the plug from the old igniter to the new wires, or to the new igniter rather. Here we are. We're just going to take these ends and we're going to twist them to the ends on the igniter. At this point, it doesn't really matter which side goes to which because the plug is actually in series, meaning you can reverse it back and forth, whatever. It's still going to do its thing. And what we're going to use to connect these wires, besides just twisting them together, is the new igniter actually came with 2 wire nuts, these here. Now these wire nuts, they're just plastic on the inside and the outside. There is no metal threading on the inside. So we're just going to use these to connect the wires, or to hold the wires together. Just going to put one here. Make sure you got a tight little fit, snug. You don't want to over tighten it. It'll just, again, it's plastic threading on the inside. It's not metal. So you don't want to round those out. just enough to be snug and holding the wires together. There you go. All right, here's the second one. What you're going to see me do here is actually trim off a little bit of the wire. This is just because I don't want too much of the wire hanging out of the bottom of the cap or the wire nut. There we go. And it's snug. All right, so I'm just going to plug that back in. So now it's time to test everything out, of course. I'm just going to plug the stove back in. So we're going to turn on our oven. Bake, start. And again, what should be happening right now is that igniter should start glowing. If it starts glowing, that means we have a good igniter now. And that, in fact, was our problem. Now, there are many reasons why the igniter might not be turning on. Luckily for us, it just happened to be that the actual igniter was bad, which is, again, what happened last time. Same thing that happened this time. Installation, or putting everything back together, is just reverse. You have the 4 screws. So it's what? 1, 2, 3, and lastly 4. And this right here happens to be what the original screw looked like. I just happen to have that in the little bag where the manual is taped to the back of the stove. Try to focus in here a little bit. There you go. So that's what the original one looks like. And that's it. Everything worked out perfect.